Alright, I have a master-built display freezer. Previously a cake freezer, but it's no longer in a Dairy Queen. So, when they say it keeps tripping its breaker. So what I did, throw this out. It's tripping the GFCI. Okay, can confirm. But let's reset. Which this is nice that we're not tripping a breaker and we're just tripping a GFCI, hopefully. Yep, there you go. So when you plug it in, it doesn't trip right away. So I tested this short to ground first. I tested across these two terminals, those two terminals, didn't trip. I knew I could plug it in. When you plug it in, she doesn't trip right away, unless at least it didn't the first time, until it called for cooling. So the inside fan started, the lights started when I first plugged it in. So I take off the cover to the condensing unit. Definitely not a good place to start. So either you got a short in the compressor, or the fan, or the contactor. Now things have changed, because now it won't run at all. Won't run at all. I actually turned this off, which isolated it from the compressor circuit. So that lit up, the fans lit up, the light lit up before. Now nothing. Well, let's clear this. And then we'll go component by component, see if we can't find something obvious. Alright, so let's really hope we don't have an intermittent problem. I've got the cooling circuit off. Plugged it in and it stayed on. Okay? And it says we've got cooling and we've got fans. We do have fans. Now, the lights aren't on. Lights and fans. Ugh, this thing's gonna knock me over. So we're definitely gonna have a problem in the refrigeration circuit. So let's isolate. Well, okay. Alright, so pull the contactor in, popped. Let's separate the fan from the compressor and see which one it is. I can tell you this feels like bad news to me. So this could be a GFCI that's super sensitive, right? So I've got the condensing unit off again, and yet she's popping immediately, and if I just wait, it won't. Alright, so I have isolated the compressor from the circuit. I'm not gonna wait for this. We're gonna bump the contactor, and the fan runs. So what does that tell us, kids? It's not in the fan. Now, it could be in the potential relay, right? Doesn't have to be a dead compressor yet. Could have a capacitor that's being weird. Any number of things. So, not the controller, not the contactor, not the fan. We're down to this guy. Okay, so two things. That 30 was reading short. That wouldn't have caused our problem. I pulled to my connectors and to my terminals, no shorts to ground. No shorts in the potential relay. It trips. Maybe locked rotor amps, but it's tripping too quick. And then I'm like, how about we take 2 steps back? Runs just fine. On a non-GFCI outlet. That GFCI outlet's getting tired. And that happens. And the reason I got tipped off to it is, again, when I let the outlet rest for a minute, it would start. So, it wouldn't start the compressor, but it would run everything else. Now we gotta change it. Well, as I was starting to run numerics, I'll have to find the amp draw on that motor. But I put my clamp on, it was running 16 amps, and then I blew a breaker. So, I think you got a dead compressor. Look at the electrical. The breakers are behind all this. Well, maybe we'll get lucky, it's in the big one. So, there's stacks to the ceiling in front of the breakers, and worse, there's a steel pipe that is as long as this freaking room. Alright, it's been a hot minute. But, cake freezer. New filter dryer. This was an exact replacement, except it wasn't. Because mine were side connections, because we have this top to worry about, and then the new ones were vertical, so I had to put 90s. We had to do some augmenting of things to make, because then we also have to slide this back in when it's done. But torched in, leak checked. We're gonna pull a vacuum now. She had pulled down to 0, and we just opened the door to do some stuff. You can see we haven't opened this door since, because it's been closed at 60 degrees and unused. So we got it to cool down. As it was gonna stink up the whole place even worse. And now they'll clean it up. I did have to change that GFCI outlet on the back as well. So when this hole started, it was popping the GFCI outlet. And then I ran it over here, and it actually popped that breaker too. But the reality was, this new unit wouldn't run through this GFCI, but I ran it to these breakers and it would. So I replaced that outlet. Bada bing. But those outlets get wonky once you start abusing them. So the compressor was dying, and that was the end of that. So